Alright, this is going to be a tutorial on how to make trap metal beat. Some things you're going to need is a DAW. I'm using FL Studio 20. I think this is the newest version. Could use any one really. You're going to need the plugin called Camel Crusher. This is a distortion plugin. It's gonna make the track loud and brutal and unmusical sounding, which is just what we want. You're gonna also need some drum kits. I like to use the Suchi kit and the Plurbs kit a lot. You could find a ton of these on any of the Discord servers. They all pretty much have the same stuff in them, so it doesn't really matter what one you use. So anyways, to get started, I usually create a melody. That's the first thing I do. Now, I use Omnisphere for this, but I'll assume most of you don't have it. You could use a lot of synths from FL. FL has some pretty good synths. Before I started using Omnisphere, I used Nexus for a while, but they all kind of grow old after a while. So, also, you could get loops if you don't have any of these or you don't know how to make melodies. You could go to, for example, Looperman, go into loops and samples, and then go into the tags. Now, typically you're going to want something that's kind of scary sounding. I usually go into the category horror. I do not know where it is though. I can't find it for some reason. I probably passed it, but I'll leave that up to you to find it if you want to use loops. Anyways, if you do have Omnisphere, I'll show you where to get some really good sounds. So you're going to want to look up distorted reality, and all these sounds are going to come up. You just want to click the first one and then click distorted reality. Now all these sounds are from the distorted reality category or sound bank. You can choose any one you want really. Alright, I'll use that. So you want to rename this to melody, and you want to create a pattern called melody, and you're going to want to drag it out so it's one bar, I guess you could call it. And then we're going to want to choose a tempo. So let's say, turn the metronome on. Sounds good. And you're also going to want to change pattern to song, just so we could start editing in the arrangement view, I think. So yeah, you're going to want to go to piano roll, and you're going to want to start placing these notes down. Alright, so that sounds alright. Now what we're going to want to do is go to the master, go to the first mixer slot, and you're going to want to put in Camel Crusher. And you do not have to mess with any of this, we'll just leave it like that. And then you want to go to the limiter, and you want to drag the gain almost all the way up. Same with the ceiling. I don't like to put the gain all the way to the max. Doesn't really matter. It's personal preference. Probably doesn't make any difference at all, but it's just a weird thing I do. So now you're going to want to channel route melody, and you're going to want to drag the volume all the way down because we just made the master really loud. So now if you listen, okay, that's fine. So let's put this out a few more times just to start making a build up. Probably not gonna go into detail as much on making other sounds like other melodies going on at the same time. We'll just stick something simple just for the tutorial's sake. So one thing you could do for the build up is I like to go to Fruity Parametric EQ 2, and then you want to go to presets, and you want to stop when you get to this one right here, and you're going to want to right click this and create automation clip, and you're going to want to drag this down a bit so now it creates a build up. If you listen, you get the point. So that's what it's gonna do. Then usually, sometimes you could add kind of like the melody drops out right before the beat drops. This is so like, you know, kind of just stops, and then maybe you put your tag there or something. Doesn't really matter. Then you're gonna want to put the melody for 4 bars. This is usually as long as I do a beat for. So okay, now we're gonna want to add in an 808. So you want to go into one of your drum kits, and you can choose whatever one you want. I'm gonna use the Suchi Kit 808-3, just because I like the 808s that have more of that kind of grunge, kind of fuzzy, scratchy kind of sound. Anyways, so you're gonna want to go here, lower the attack all the way, max out the hold, lower the decay, and sustain and release. So it's a perfect square. And what this does is that when you're on your MIDI keyboard and you press the key, right when you let go, it stops. There's no sustain or anything. You don't want any of that on your EQ. Then you're going to want to go here and click Cut Self, drag that down to 1 on both of these right here. And that's pretty much it. We're going to rename this to 808, and we're going to rename this to EQ. And I just like to keep all my things gray. I don't know why, but so now we're going to create an 808 pattern, and I usually drag the pattern out for the whole way because the 808 pattern progresses and gets more complicated towards the end of the track. It gets more exciting. If you just want it to be kind of like simple, you could just duplicate it, which, you know, isn't too fun. But anyways, we're gonna just kind of drag the first bar out just so it loops. You're gonna want to go to your piano roll. Okay. My grandma just came in the room to say goodbye to me, so sorry about that. Okay, so back to the 808 pattern. It's kind of good if you have a slight background in music theory, just enough to understand, scales or, key. You don't want to just be placing notes randomly. You want everything to be in key in the same scale, so it sounds good, so it's musical, even though trap metal isn't musical. Anyways, so I'm going to start out with this, just kind of drag note out. Also, if you want to be adding triplets like this in, you're going to want to go to the magnet and you're going to want to click 1/6 step. This way you could add triplets with the lines they have for you. So anyways, I'm going to have these triplets slide, so you're going to want to Command C, Command V, and you're going to drag them up an octave. Or 2 octaves or 3, like so. And now you're going to want to double click and click this right here. This way it slides to the note up the octave, and you're going to want to do this with all these. So now if you listen to it, okay, actually, these three triplets right here, I just realized, we want to drag them up to G7, we want to keep it the same note. Alright, that's a decent place to start, I suppose. So now you're going to want to route this channel to the 808, drag it down a bit, and we're going to go into the first slot for the effects and add Camel Crusher. Now you're going to want to add Fruity Squeeze. You're going to click Filter, you're going to drag the amount all the way up, and you're going to want to turn it to Peak. Then you're going to want to add some EQ. Now, if you haven't ever EQ'd before, this end over here is the high end and this is the low end. So with the Fruity Squeeze, we just added a lot of high end, to make it sound scratchier, so we're going to want to kind of highlight it, I guess, so you can hear it more. Alright, sounds pretty painful to the ears. You're going to want to add a multiband compressor, so this is kind of more of the same in a way. We're dealing with the low end, mid, and high, so we're going to want to kind of drag the gain for the high end up to make it sound more kind of white noise-ish, kind of staticky. Then I usually EQ it a ton of times, so. Alright, now, sometimes I like to add chorus, which seems kind of like it would make it sound gross, which is kind of the point. So, you could turn it to light HF. Kind of makes the high end sound a bit more staticky, and then drag down the mix on it because we don't want it too much. Then I'm just going to EQ it again real quick. Alright, and then the last thing I like to put on the last slot is limiter, and you want to drag both these up, and then you want to go to comp, and here we're going to sidechain the kick, which we haven't created yet. So go back to your drum kit, and you want to find wherever the kicks are. I usually like to pick the kick that seems to have the least amount of distortion on it already. Lots of these are very kind of already distorted. The number 4 kind of seems like it hasn't been tampered much with. You don't really have to do anything with here, other than channel route it and drag it down just a bit. So basically, you're going to want to keep the kick on the same pattern as the 808, and I'm going to show you why right here. Because if you go into the piano roll, if it's in the same pattern, it'll like kind of show the notes of the 808, so you don't have to like, listen and guess and look in the other patterns. You just go to C5, place it in right here, then you just drag a triplet right here, just create triplets right here, and then you just place it here, do triplets again, and it's a lot easier this way, and it's, your screen's not going to be so cluttered with, a million of patterns that you don't need that many for. And make sure that when you're placing your kicks, that they are on the note C5. You don't want them, higher up, because then the kick's not going to be as meaty sounding. If you want, you could even lower them a few notes, actually, just if you want it to be kind of deeper sounding kick, like more distorted. But I don't usually like doing that. I just like to EQ it so that it's the low end's kind of stronger. So anyways, you want to add Camel Crusher, and I hate the fat mode, so you're going to turn the fat mode down, and you're going to drag the amount down on the compressor. Alright, so that's alright. So now that we have the pattern, we're going to EQ it, so put your fruity EQ on it. Now usually, with my kicks, I like the kicks to sound strong, but kind of soft, if that makes any sense. I'll show you what I mean by that. You could follow along with what I'm doing. I'll just kind of listen to it and adjust it. So. Okay, that's fine. You don't really have to do anything else with that, but now what you want to do is go to your 808 channel. Actually, no, you want to go to your kick, then you want to right-click this part under the 808 channel and click sidechain to this track. Now, if you go back to your 808, to the Fruity Limiter under Comp, you could right-click sidechain and click the kick. And now what you could do is you could raise the threshold almost all the way to the bottom, but just a little bit, so there's a blue, and raise the ratio, I think, this way. Okay, yeah, so if you got it this way, and if you drag the ratio more this way, basically it's creating an effect where every time the kick hits, the 808 quiets for the amount of time the kick audio is being played. It varies for how much you put the ratio, so I don't like it that much. It's very subtle to me. So you can do that. Don't forget to save a lot. This should say EQ. Okay, so got half a bar down for the 808. Now we're gonna add snare. So go to your snare. Now I like to layer my snares, so I don't like to choose just one snare. I choose like 2 or 3. So I usually use this one, and you want to create a new pattern, call it snare. You could drag it for a full bar, and we'll call it snare 1. Go to the piano roll. and you want to put it on 2. So it's, if you play it with a metronome, it's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, because you want a solid backbeat. If you put your snares kind of, if you try to be all cool with it and just, willy-nilly just put them wherever you want. I know some producers who I won't name who do that, and it's just not good with trap metal because your track relies on a solid backbeat, since your 808s are kind of, the part of the song that's shining, really. That's where you're going all crazy, everything. You need a solid backbeat so people can understand, what they're hearing, and it just doesn't sound like mumbo jumbo. So, anyways, there goes the first snare. Gonna add this in, snare 2, and you could just go to here and click copy, paste. I'll just stick with those for now. So, channel route. Both of these. That 808 is really, it's really, what's the word, canceling out these snares. I usually don't have a problem with that, really. I guess the 808's pretty loud, so I could lower that a bit, but I kind of like it the way it is, so I'm just going to add another snare in. Okay, well, typically I just add reverb, so could up the damp and the decay. Okay, so you could EQ them to be louder just by, dragging certain parts into the high end more. Anyways, got that down, I guess. You could just play around with that to get it to sound the way you want with the reverb and everything. I'm not going to go into detail on what everything does. Okay, so next let's add some hi-hats. just for half a bar, because these hi-hat patterns can get tedious at times. So okay, this is a problem. So if you have a hi-hat or any loop for that matter that keeps repeating, you're just going to use loop points off. So all right, piano roll. Lots of times you can just get away with doing triplets, to be honest. I don't keep my hi-hats that loud anyways, so. Should just copy and paste this. Why am I wasting my time just doing it one by one? Alright, so. So channel out that. Drop it a bit. Now we're going to EQ it just so it's okay. I'm gonna lower that reverb. I don't actually like that too much. That's pretty good. Doesn't have to be anything too fancy, really. So we're just gonna keep duplicating that. So that's fine. That works. Some people like to put cymbals in there, like crashes and stuff, but I kind of grew out of that. There's no point really, to be honest. Usually cymbals are to emphasize, your kicks, but chances are you aren't going to hear them anyways over that 808, so I wouldn't really worry about that. If you want to add percussion, I'd recommend you get the Prez Sound Kit. These are all the classic percussion hits you hear in literally every single trap metal song. Those right there. Where's the other one? It's like a glitch sound. I don't know. Anyways, I don't like percussion anymore, really. It's kind of an old thing, kind of frowned upon if you use percussion for some reason. But one thing you can do, though, is if you go into snares, there's a certain snare that people use for, like, a fill snare. Where is snare? This sound right here, there's a few snares that sound kind of like this. I just call it snare percussion. Then you could just create a new thing, percussion, and just drag it out. So basically, go into your piano roll, and you want to go to a low C. So you could duplicate this a ton of times. Now this can get pretty annoying, so turn it pretty down. All right. So that's that. That's basically it, really. Now it's just kind of up to you to finish the rest of the 808 pattern. This could get tedious. This is what takes the longest. You need to be pretty creative. What I could recommend though is that as you create, more of the pattern, you could duplicate what you already have, drag it into the second bar, and basically keep same parts, like, don't change too much. You want to have the same groove. You don't want it to be like a completely different thing, but just start adding new things, so. So just set up things like that. As it keeps going, obviously just kind of add more of the madness. Okay, so now let's kind of work on the beginning and create some effects. So, right here we have this drop. So if we go to the beginning and we listen through the whole thing, it's gonna drop, and then our tag's gonna go there, so. Okay, so we're gonna put some reverb on here, so when it ends, it's just kind of drown out. That's fine. Okay, so then we're gonna go to here, and we're gonna go to wherever you have your tag located. Just gonna drag that in, and you're gonna wanna put it on a new track line. Guess I'll just put it here, and you're gonna wanna channel route it. You're gonna wanna drag it down a lot, and then put some reverb on that. And you can put some delay on it so it kind of has like a ping pong effect. You could change the pan. Alright, okay, now we're gonna add a reverse kick. So I'll show you what that is if you don't know. We have the Suchi Kick 4. So let's go into here and drag this out. And we're going to change this to rev for reverse kick. Change this to gray. Whatever. So we're going to have to go real small here. Double click that, and you're going to click reverse. So as you can tell, it is reversed. Now we're going to drag it right to the start to create a really cool drop. And you're going to want to click to the magnet and click none. This way you could drag it all the way up to the beginning of it, and then you're going to go back and click. Actually, I'm just going to put it on line. Now you're going to go here and route it, and you're going to put it down. So now if you listen to it, it creates that kind of sound. If you listen, I'll make it louder. You don't want it loud though, just so you can hear it better. Maybe you kind of want it loud, maybe. Alright, so that sounds pretty good. Another effect you could do is, I'll try and see if I could do this. It's effect actually done with the EQ, so I guess I'll just go ahead and add another EQ on it because I don't want to mess up that one. I may have to delete that just to show. It's going to be done with this again, so you're going to create another automation clip. You're going to drag it. You could drag it right here, I guess. Alright, yeah. So you're going to go down, and we're going to first change it to EQ effect, and we're going to make it gray because I don't like any other color. Alright, so this may not be the best sound to do it with because it's kind of not that easy to hear it with. But anyway, so you're going to right click to drag out a point halfway through, right towards the end, right here. And we're going to be doing triplets, so we're going to be doing one here. Actually, you have to turn this to 1/6 step, so how are we going to do this? It's going to be dot, dot, dot. You have to try to evenly space these so it's a good triplet, you know. Okay, that's not.
I'm not going to go in the jacuzzi.
Okay.
One more run before dinner.
Yeah.
If you're up for it.
So we have to make a triplet, right? So you're gonna put this part right here, and then you're gonna change this to 1/6 step. And I do not know why it's kind of hard to figure out where to place that triplet. Let me just figure this out real quick. Oh, I'm dumb. They're not triplets. They are definitely not triplets. So just go back to line. Sorry about that. I'm just gonna put one right there for each quarter note. I think for, yeah. Alright, so then you're gonna drag this one down, and you're gonna put another one right there. You're gonna drag this one down, put another one right there. Do the same for that. And you don't have to put another one right there. So I'm gonna kind of make it so it goes like that. So now if you listen to it. Alright, for this one, you're actually gonna drag the EQ down. Gonna drag these up just a bit, and then you're gonna go back to the 6th step, and then right before you're just gonna put a little kind of thing right there, just so it, I'll show you why. Just hit there, you're gonna put these back up so they arc again, and then you're gonna delete these ones right here. You're gonna drag these down, so it kind of has a little pickup effect. Can't really hear it, doesn't really sound different at all, but anyways, that's one effect that, you know, hear sometimes in like a Warfill beat or other ones. Alright, so now if you listen to it, okay, something's wrong there. Should almost be delayed. Should almost be delayed a beat. Yeah, okay, I just don't think that this effect works that well with this sound, but, like, let me show you, like, what it does with, my collab I did with, Yakuzi. If you look down here, it's the same thing with the EQ, and if you listen to it. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to do there, but, if we go back to the tutorial, we'll just take that out for now. You could do it if you want, but anyways, I'm not going to go through the full process of continuing the 808s. I may, if I like this enough, I may actually go through with it, just not on the video, and may release it on my main, but probably not. Now let's work on the outro. So once the song's all done, right, you're gonna have the melody kind of fade out, so this shouldn't take too long. This usually is pretty quick. So if you drag this EQ all the way to the end, like so, and then just kind of put it so it EQs all the way up the whole time, and now you get the cut tool, and just cut it there, and then delete the middle part. You could then drag out the end, so Okay, for the tutorial's sake, I'm just gonna duplicate these a ton of times just so you could hear what it would sound like. This is what the end result is for today. The beginning, the Alright, sorry about my dog barking all the way through that. Missed one note in the kick in there, but anyways, this is the basics of making trap metal beats. So anyways, hope this was of help to someone. So yeah, bye.